Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel, Low IQ Media here. And today I'm going to be talking about all of my BBC collection. I know most of the time I talk about movies, but a big part of my collection and some of my favorite things are television shows, especially television comedies. There's not been a lot of good television shows on in the recent years. There's some here and there. But I don't watch a lot of dramas on TV, some, like Breaking Bad, things like that. But as far as comedies go, probably one of my last favorite comedies that's been on was probably It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia as far as American shows are. So these are my BBC shows, though. British comedies are some of my funniest, and I think some of my funniest, probably some of the funniest television shows that I have are probably the British shows. At one time, British shows used to be incredibly good. The quality's kind of jumped off here in the last several years, as with everything else for certain reasons. But I'm just going to run through these. I've got quite a few here. I'm just going to run through them with you guys and give a little brief description. Maybe some of these I haven't watched in a while, so I can't remember every detail about them. Some I know more about than others. But the first one up here is called The Good Neighbors. It's basically just about a couple of suburban people who's surrounded by a bunch of wacky neighbors. Pretty much, it's a fun little show. I highly recommend this one. And this is one I hadn't watched in a while, as far as knowing all the details about it. But this was the complete series 1 through 3, which means it's probably about 18 episodes altogether. British shows generally run. Some are different. They vary, but a lot of them are kind of 6 episodes is a typical British season for a television show, so whole seasons are pretty short. Let's see here. This is one that I do know a little bit more about. This one's hilarious, this show right here. This is called Keeping Up Appearances. This is a really good show. This is also another complete series. As you see, the woman on front, her name is Hyacinth. And it's funny, the premise behind keeping up appearances is, keeping up appearances, but it's about basically just a normal, just a normal middle class wife and her husband, but she thinks she's like this high society kind of person, and she presents herself as a high society person. In fact, her last name is Bucket, spelled Bucket. But she always presents her name as being as Bouquet, and she talks in this high voice like this all the time. And her neighbors kind of despise her, and her husband kind of despises her too. And she's always embarrassing him. But it's kind of funny. She also has her sister is her sister's family, her husband, everything. They're basically like rednecks. So they're always coming by the house in this, a car that won't run very well, and it's always backfiring and stuff from her, and she's always embarrassed to have her family around. It's a hilarious show, and I highly, this one's another one that's highly recommended. Keeping Up Appearances. Let's see here. Okay, this is another classic BBC show. This is Are You Being Served? This is based around a department store and just kind of the wacky goings on with the department store employees, essentially. It's really funny. I think that I have the other one. There's one called Are You Being Served Again? It's just like a newer season of it. But this is the complete season of Are You Being Served? Very funny. Let's see here. This is a British made. Everybody's familiar with this being on. Well, I guess it's technically Netflix made, but it's a British production of The Crown. This is the first season. I don't own any of the other seasons. I've seen them though, but I haven't. But I have the first season. They had this big deluxe set like this, and it was really nice. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. It was really interesting seeing the goings on of the royal family, I guess. I don't really what I would call a royal family worshiper or nothing like a lot of people do. They really get into it, but I enjoy seeing the back. They try to. I think in that show they don't really come out and say things, but they kind of hint at like some of the discrepancies of over the years with the royal family. It's interesting. Oh, let's see here. Well, we'll just do these real quick. This is The Obvious. This is The Office. Ricky Gervais, The British Office. What started The Office? This is this season 1. I have all the seasons, which is just 2 seasons. They do make a complete set of this, which has both seasons and the Christmas special on it. I don't have that set, but I have seasons 1 and 2. Very funny, hilarious. If you've seen The American Office, it's the same. The first season of The American Office is basically a clone of the first season of The British Office, at least the first few episodes. And this is another Ricky Gervais. This is Extras. This is a really funny. These might have been BBC in conjunction with HBO. Yeah, in fact it is. It's an HBO conjunction. And yeah, this is pretty funny. It's basically about Ricky Gervais as an extra in I guess the film industry in Britain, and it's just his kind of, it's Ricky Gervais being an extra and the kind of things he gets into, and his Stephen Merchant in there is his agent, and they're just, he's always not getting very good gigs and things like that. It's a hilarious show. A lot of cameos in there, some funny cameos. The next up here is a great show. I don't know if anybody who have seen it. This is called Spaced. This is what started off kind of the this is excuse me. Well, it was Edgar Wright had to do with this. Went on to do Shaun of the Dead, and also this is Simon Pegg. Excuse me. This is Simon Pegg and Jessica Hyde and and Nick Frost. And Nick Frost is in. I'm forgetting their names, but everybody is pretty much involved with Shaun of the Dead and those trilogies. This is where they started. This came out in about '99, I believe, and it's a great show. Just kind of Simon Pegg's character is basically a wannabe comic book artist and like a former comic book shop worker. So it's kind of the nerd escape up here. Let's see here. Let's go on down here a little bit. This next one is a really funny show. This is called The Vicar of Dibley. This stars Dawn French. She's simply she's a woman vicar, which is a woman priest, that is being sent to a small rural town or village in England to be the vicar, and it's like kind of a cultural shock to everybody. They have a woman vicar and all this stuff, and it's her surrounded by a bunch of basically idiots, this town idiots, and there's kind of like a town council that she's part of, and there you always going to see them. You see them on display on each episode, and it's just hilarious. It's just the adventures of a female vicar in England, and it's really funny. It's really funny. I would say there's another picture over on the side there. She's just Dawn French is pretty funny, and it's just the surrounding cast is hilarious in there. So yeah, that's another one I highly recommend. The next up, I hope this doesn't reflect too bad, because it's got like a outer case. It's got one of those clear plastic outer cases. But this is a more recent comedy. This is called The Detectorist. That's not too bad a reflection. It's called The Detectorist. Now this, I'll have to look at his name. I always forget his name, but he was also, you can't see by the picture there but it's also the guy from, I always have to remember his name, but Mackenzie Cook, he was in The Office and The British Office. And this is it's just a hilarious. His name was right on the front. I didn't even see it. I apologize. But Toby Jones also. I wish. I'm going to look here real quick and see if their pictures are on the inside of this flap. Yeah, here we go. There's Toby Jones right there. Mackenzie Crook, if you recognize him from The Office. But this is about, it's kind of interesting. I've always been into metal detecting. I don't do it a lot, but I've got a metal detector. But it's about metal detectors in, you know, kind of the metal detectors and their adventures, things like that. And it's just a comedy. It's a funny show. The next up here is the Steve Coogan collection. Steve Coogan's a hilarious comedian, and this is just a collection of his different shows that were on the BBC. This contains Knowing Me, Knowing You, Knowing Me, Knowing Yule, I'm Alan Partridge, Saxondale, Dr. Terrible's House of Horrible, Coogan's Run, Paul and Pauline's Calf's Video Diaries, Paul and Pauline Calf's Chinese and Ham Sandwich, the Tony Farino Phenomenon. And these are just a collection of hilarious Steve Coogan shows. You know, a lot of them are just like one season or maybe a couple of seasons, and it's really good stuff. If you recognize Steve Coogan there, he's done some American stuff too. Let's move on here. This is one that I've watched, but I cannot remember all of the things about it. This is Only Fools and Horses. Excuse me, Only Fools and Horses. I've actually, for some reason, I put both seasons out here. And I can't remember. It seemed like one of the guys in here, the older man, the gentleman here, he passed away, I think, after the first 3 series. And then that's why on this one there's like a replacement. I've watched these and I can't remember everything about these are what I remember about is some pretty funny stuff. I apologize. I've watched so many of these that I forget sometimes about them. Okay, let's see here. Here's another hilarious show. This is called The League of Gentlemen. A very dark comedy. Takes place in a made-up town called Royston Vasey. It's just this collection of like weird characters. It's a comedy, but just like weird, like it almost feels like a sketch comedy in a way. The way it's kind of like sketch comedy, like different sketches kind of all put together. But I mean, it's a show, but it's kind of odd. It's a, you know, you basically got the same people playing the different characters, but you can see the way these characters look. They're kind of odd. It's just kind of like an oddball collection of different town people, and all the stories kind of tie together. Let's see. The next up here, I'm trying to tie stuff together. This is the obvious. This still had the sticker on it, but where I bought it used. But this was the, I guess this is all the original. This is the entire Whose Line Is It Anyways? This is where this show started. Everybody remembers the Drew Carey version that came out several years ago in America that ran for a few seasons. This is where it started at. You had some of the people that are actually on the show showed up in the American version. This guy here, and I think he did as well. And you know the concept of the show. It's funny. It's a really good comedy. Okay, I was trying to get down to this stuff here. Actually, here's a classic. Everybody knows this is Fawlty Towers. Just hilarious. A hilarious show. John Cleese. I mean, this show is just one of the funniest British shows there ever was. I highly recommend Fawlty Towers. And since we're sticking with John Cleese here, well, I thought I had both of these. Oh, I moved them around. Okay. This is the 1948 show. This is partial Monty Python cast. And this has John Cleese, Graham Chapman, Tim Brooke Taylor, Marty Feldman, and Amy McDonald. You guys recognize Marty Feldman was on there. He was a writer as well. Graham Chapman, John Cleese. And also, and this was Do Not Adjust Your Set. that come out in the similar period, which is kind of the rest of the Monty Python cast before Monty Python. But this has Eric Idle, Terry Jones, Michael Palin, David Jason, and Dennis Coffey. I do believe, and Terry Gilliam does do some of the art. He does do, does the cartoons and things for this show as well. So this is Do Not Adjust Your Set, two hilarious shows, and the 1948 show. Just absolutely hilarious. I really don't know why I can't remember the story about, I've seen a documentary about Marty Feldman, why he kind of didn't go on to be with Monty Python. I think he kind of got his own shows before he kind of got famous in the Mel Brooks movies. And then he directed a couple movies later on, which I have over. They were kind of commercial flops, but they're funny movies. But to tie all that together, here is Monty Python. This is my Blu-ray set of Monty Python and the Flying Circus, Monty Python's Flying Circus, excuse me. This came out like last year, and I didn't see anybody buy it or view it. I have the DVD set over there. It's really nice. But I thought, when I seen this, I was like, I have to buy that, fully restored. And it's just a wonderful, just a wonderful collection on Blu-ray. Nice clear case like that, and a lot of extra features. Really, it's really nicely restored. Highly recommend Monty Python's Flying Circus. Some of the funniest British comedy ever, obviously, for obvious reasons. But like I say, and some of these that I have in here are not comedies, and this is one of the best shows ever. And this is like probably one of my, out of print Blu-ray sets. For some reason, this got released on. You can still get it in DVD. So, but this is really hard to find without paying a lot of money for. This is The Prisoner. This is essentially about The Prisoner. If you never saw it, just a brief synopsis of it. It's basically a secret agent. Essentially, I always forget his name. My bad. Not the secret agent, but the the actor who played him. But essentially, the secret agent, he decides he wants to retire, and I guess kind of in the M by 5, you don't really retire. So they essentially, after he retires, he basically gets captured and taken to this island, and where you can't escape, and it's basically a psychological warfare on him, trying to get him to admit to the information he knows or what he was his intentions of retiring, and he doesn't have it because he was legitimately wanting to retire. He wasn't a double agent or anything like that, but it's each episode's them trying to get him to, and him basically breaking their will of the person doing the interrogation. And if he tries to escape the island, there's these weird ball things that come and capture him. It's like kind of futuristic, and it's just an amazing show. Insanely awesome. Highly recommend it. I know I say that a lot. I highly recommend most of this stuff I have, but The Prisoner is amazing. And the kind of like a rumor or about the show was the same actor played Secret Agent. If you ever seen it, Secret Agent, man, that show, he that show is actually a British show as well. Actually, I should have brought that out. I forgot to, but it's called Danger Man in England, and the thought was that maybe that character, after that series, it's that character retiring and it becoming and this happening to him, but there's no actually correlation to that really. But that's just kind of a rumor that they got circulated with that. It's pretty cool though. I know I'm blabbing too much. I'm trying to go through this quickly. The next one's another hilarious show. This is Rowan Atkins. If nobody's ever seen this, everybody's familiar with Mr. Bean. I don't have Mr. Bean on the Blu-ray set. I bought it once from Half Price Books, and they were selling them new, and it's just like a one disc set. It's like the whole series, and I got it home, and it was a floater, and it was destroyed, and I never and I'm never might manage to pick it up again. So one of these days I'll pick it up. But this is Blackadder, Rowan Atkins. Hilarious show. It's just Rowan Atkins in different eras of time. The first season, it takes place in a kind of like the Dark Ages and things like. And then it progresses up, and then Blackadder goes forth. The fourth season, it takes place in World War One. So it's just him, and it's always like he's his sidekick Baldric. He's always there. He's always and it's just him, and he's just kind of an idiot and just making his way through the world. It's a hilarious show. Or he's kind of like he's not necessarily an idiot. He's just he's always like the know-it-all. He's like, but he's also kind of the idiot, and it's just it's a hilarious show. Let's see here. And here's another drama everybody's familiar with. This is Sherlock. Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman. Yes, Martin Freeman. Also another Office alumni. Amazing show. A big fan of Sherlock Holmes. And that's another stuff I didn't pull off my shelf to show y'all my Sherlock Holmes, but maybe we'll do that in another video. But I've got all the BBC Sherlock Holmes, different ones, but mainly the series that came out in probably I guess it came out in the late 80s, maybe early 90s, definitely the 80s. But it's like the Victorian era, and it's a very well put together show. It's a series of it was television shows, and it's kind of like a series of either movies and television shows kind of put together. But I have all those really cool stuff. And come next up here before we get to the last couple is a classic, another hilarious. This is The Young Ones. Aid Edmondson. Rick Mayhall. Because Rick Mayhall's right here. Aid Edmondson's this fellow. And the other two, I can't find their names. I apologize, because they're very funny. It's essentially for like college age people, or college students essentially, and they're all kind of all diverse. One's like a punk, and one's like a hippie, and one's just kind of like a idiot, and the other was like a kind of a pompous, arrogant asshole. But they all live together in this house, and it's just like they're just crazy behavior. And there's also, it's kind of a variety show sometimes, and there'll be a band that plays at the end and things like that. Hilarious show. A very funny series. And next up is also Aid Edmondson and Rick Mayhall. Rick Mayhall has been in I believe he's been in some of the Harry Potter, like at least one Harry Potter movie, and you've probably recognized him. He passed away a few years ago. It's really sad. But this is another series they did after that. It's called Bottom. It says Full Bottom, but Full Bottom was just like that. Sometimes when they got American releases like these, they renamed them, and this one's just Bottom, and it's just about two down on their luck, flatmates living together, their crazy exploits. It's another hilarious show. It's just you have to see their comedy style to understand it. Just kind of a couple of idiots, basically. A little bit of slapstick humor in all that stuff. That's the thing I'm missing with Full Bottom and with The Young Ones. It's kind of slapstick humor, almost like Three Stooges, that kind of stuff. Like people getting hit over the head with like frying pans. Just real heavy physical comedy. It's really funny. And last up, I got two more, and this is the IT crowd, or the IT crowd, whichever way you want to say it. I'm really glad I found this set. This is the complete series. This is Chris O'Dowd, and the guy made this show is called Greg Lyman. I think it's Greg Linehan. Greg Linehan, he is an Irish fellow, very hilarious. And this show is hilarious. If you've seen this show, it's a great show. Highly recommend the IT Crowd. It's the exploits of a couple IT workers with their boss. And Yes, it's a hilarious show, but the reason why I saved the It Crowd is because this is my favorite BBC comedy of all time. I'm sorry, some of these stickers from Half Price Book was on here. I own these individually, and then I turned around and bought this box set with the slip cover. But this is like one of my favorite. It's also produced by Greg Linehan. I think this was his first TV show, for as far as I know, as far as first major production. And this show is absolutely insane. This is called Father Ted. If you guys haven't seen it, this is the biggest recommendation of the day. This is Father Ted. Only 3 seasons. Unfortunately, the guy that played Father Ted, he passed away. Shoot. I hate when they don't put their names right here. It's Ardo O'Hanlon. That's who played for Father Ted. He passed away after the 3rd season. There was going to be more. This was a pretty big hit as far as I know. But essentially what Father Ted's about, it's about 3 priests that live... Father Ted gets sent to this place called Craggy Island, and it's just this little island off the shores of Ireland. And it's just this one-horse backwards ass town in a backwards ass little island on off the shores. And he gets sent there because he's being punished for, you really don't know what he does, but he's basically, it was embezzling money, because he keeps always, people keep bringing it up during the show, and he's like, oh, that money was just resting in my account. But he gets sent there, and the 2 other priests, one is a young priest who, Father Dougal McGuire, excuse me, and he's just a freaking idiot. Sometimes he'll even be spouting stuff that's like it'll be like this, he'll be he'll be like off on a tangent about atheism or something. He's just a complete idiot. And the other is a very elderly, he's supposed to be an elderly priest who's completely out of his wits. He don't know, only thing he don't never really speak in the show. All he does is drink all the time, and sometimes he drinks like toilet duck and things like that, and has some psychedelic kind of things happen, but excuse me, what is his name? Father Jack, excuse me. But his name's Father Jack in the show. And he only says like 3 different things pretty much throughout the series. He's pretty much just says, feck, arson girls. And he's always having these flashbacks of where he's like, he's always, it's some kind of weird, something about the girls going out to changing into their track suits or something. And then it'll cut back to him and he'll be drooling. It's crazy, but it's basically Father Ted is essentially like the straight man in the series, and he's surrounded by idiots, and it's basically the same thing. Or he's doing something like, there's one episode about him being racist, and he's not intentionally being racist. He just keeps getting caught doing these things. It seems like he's racist, and it's just the one episode they get charged to go to protest a movie coming out. It's supposed to become an adult themed movie, and they turn around and end up making it the most popular movie on the island and in the whole of Ireland. And because they end up with their pictures on the pictures on the front of the poster and everything. It's just the show's bonkers. The show is hilarious. This is like a major recommendation. You guys definitely need to check it out. Well, that's all for the day, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. I'm sorry I've been rambling on through this stuff and forgetting stuff. That's just my way, and you guys hopefully are used to it by now. So until the next time, I'm going to talk to you guys later. See ya.